Alright, guys, we're going to be doing October 15 homework that was due on the 16th. So we're going to start with question number 48 because I know some of you were asking about that question. So I'm going to break it down right now. So an object accelerates from rest. The moment it starts from rest, you should know two parts. That the initial is going to be 0 and then both initials are going to be 0 because it's from rest. Okay, with a constant acceleration of 7.5, so acceleration equals 7.5. How fast will it be traveling, which indicates that we don't know yet, so we are looking for this after it goes this amount of meters. So we're asking, we have to find a position, which is 21 meters. We are looking for the velocity squared, the actual conclusion of the velocity for the travel. So what we're going to do first is, now that we have these variables and we know what we're looking for, let's make sure we understand the equation that we're working with. We're going to add that to the list. Make sure you guys are writing out that equation. Writing does help with memory. So make sure you are writing it out so that it actually is easier for you to remember moving forward. So now I'm going to plug it in. I don't know what VF square is. I'm leaving that as is. My initial velocity is 0 squared, plus I have my acceleration, it is 7.5, multiply that by 21 minus 0. Okay, start with what's easy. I cannot really dive into this one right now because we know anything squared that has to do with 0, it's 0, and then 0 plus any other number, we know that it's going to equal that number, so we can get rid of that. So we're working with just this part of the variable. Okay, so now I'm going to multiply 7.5 and 2. 7.5 times 2. I'm going to do this first because, yes, clearly, either way that I do go, it is technically going to be easier. So I'm going to start with this part first, and then I'll be able to do this part before I multiply both to find our speed. So 5 times 2 is going to give you 10, 14, 15. Add that point. So you have 15 times 21 minus 0. 21 minus 0 gives you 0. And then I can go ahead and multiply these two together. So when I multiply it together, I get 315. So now you have the equation where this is equal 315. Now remember that you're working with exponents here, so that means you're going to have to square root to find the actual velocity itself without it being an exponent. So the square root of 315. So velocity equals 17.74. We can write up to 5 meters per second. So that's for number 48. Okay, for number 49, it says an object accelerates from rest. So right there again, you have another two double variable. You have XO, which equals 0, and you have VO, which also equals 0. Now, with the speed of 24 miles per second over a distance of 54, what is its acceleration? So you have the V squared. V squared, oh, excuse me. So these are the variables that I have for number 49. 0, 0, 24, question mark, and 56. Okay, so when I plug it in, this is what I get. Okay, so I have my variables and I plug it into my equation. So now I have this. I'm going to work on simplifying this part. Okay, so after I'm done plugging in my equation, I start breaking down my problem by working with it easier first. Square root of 24 gives you that. The 0, you already know, you can get rid of that because it's not necessary. Then you have 56 minus 0, which gives you 56. In that manner, you have this setup. Once you have that, you divide the 56 into 576 equals 2a. Then you should receive 10.29 once you're divided these two numbers together here equals 2a. Then you're able to take the answer of that division and divide it by 2a, where a will equals 5.15 meters per second squared. Okay? For number 50, it says an object accelerates with, an object experiences an acceleration of 6.8 meters per second squared. As a result, it accelerates from rest to 24 meters per second. How many distance did it travel during that acceleration? You have your variables written out for me right here. So these are your variables. You have your acceleration. You have your formula. All you have to do is plug it in. Okay? Once you have it plugged in, you should be able to multiply where you have these two numbers with XF. Once you have that, you're dividing 13.6 with 576, and then you should get it for 2.35 meters. Alright guys, so for the last question, question 51, it says, a car which is traveling at a velocity of 15 meters per second undergoes an acceleration of 6.5 meters per second squared over a distance of 340 meters. How fast is it going after that acceleration? So you have your variables, which are given to you. Okay, you have what you're looking for, your isolation. You have your formula, then you have to plug in the variables. Once you plug in those variables, you should be able to get VF squared equals 225 plus 13 times 340. When you combine 13 and 340, you get 4,420. Add that to 225, you receive 4,645. When you have that, do not forget to square root because you're looking for VF, but you have VF squared. The moment you square root, you should be able to get VF equals 68.15 meters per second.